good technique, he will be elite. If his technique becomes great, not just good, then he's a Hall of Famer. Fighting through contact, fighting through offensive line, being a double team, multiple moves stacked into one, just a play of pure domination. This is actual film, this is actual football talk. It's a football show, we're supposed to talk football, not storylines.
And you are listening to another edition of Blewett's Blitz. I remember during my Zach Wilson review, I said that I was going to be doing Brandon Eccles after him, but I lied. I lied to you. I lied to myself because I was like, you know what? Brandon Eccles, only 11 plays, short review. I'll get it done right after Zach Wilson. But then I looked. I was like, you know what? I have a couple of hours. Isaiah Dunn, a little bit longer. Got to get Isaiah Dunn today. So my schedule, I'm pretty much stacking up 2 reviews a day. And then by the end of this week, which is Tuesday for me, you'll probably be hearing this on probably Monday. You'll probably be hearing this a week after I record this. But by the next Tuesday, today is the 15th, I'll probably be recording Sheldon Rankins. So I really want to make sure I get all these free agents done. And I'm kind of pushing it now, pushing the issue because I want to make sure I can get out everybody, even if they sign somebody else. So pushing them out. Isaiah Dunn, I have 31 plays of him. So let's get into it. I will give the strengths and the weaknesses later. That is for the subscribers. For the basics, you get the film review. I just don't get that. Well, actually, no, you don't get the film review. You get like a fourth of the film review, maybe a third of the film review. And then that's about it. I got to give you some incentive to subscribe. So Isaiah Dunn. Let me give out his measurables real quick. 6 foot, 193 pounds. That's what I found that's what I found mostly of him. I watched his 2019 Stanford, UCLA, Utah, Washington, and Arizona State games. 2020, I watched for Washington State and Oregon. And along with that, I also watched the same thing for Rashid Jr. I watched both these guys at the same time. So 2 birds, 1 stone. But we're going to be watching him. He played some outside, some slot. I remember specifically the outside was more in 2019. He played a little bit more slot in 2020. I think he's a player who could fit both. I probably prefer him to be outside based on my review, but let's watch him on the bottom, soft press. Okay, so pretty good rep. He's a little bit in that no man's land that I don't necessarily love, where he is that 3 yards off. If you're gonna play soft press, like 2-3 is a little bit too much room for the receiver to make a move and for you not to be able to really get a shuffle in, because at the point he gets to you, he could be running, pretty much not full speed, but close to full speed. So it's gonna be hard for you to shuffle. It's gonna be a little more risky. So I don't love off coverage for the fact that you can't really stay over the top of it. Like you have to be a little bit more jumpy. He does a pretty good job. He jump splits a little bit where he's leaning back onto his hips, but again, or leaning back into his butt, which he, in an off situation like this, he's going to have to a little bit because he has to play anything deep. He angles off his hips a little bit to the outside, but it's okay as long as he doesn't fully open up. He is just preparing himself for if this receiver were to open up outside on a 9 route, whatever it may be. But he gives himself enough room inside in terms of him being able to open up to the inside. Throws his hand, uses that as a slingshot, controls the ribs too. So he's gonna push him inside and try to stack the route, gets over top of the route, and just sticks into his hip. So good job staying patient in a situation where it's hard to stay patient, specifically when you're in off coverage like this. It's not an easy thing to do to not completely open up. So overall, I definitely like his footwork. In general, I like that he keeps his feet under his frame. All of those are pretty good positives for Dunn when I was watching him. Let's see the next play. I just screwed up my windows. I gotta manage my thing. Okay, let me do that and minus this. Put this there. All right. Patient, patient press. Okay, let's see to the bottom. Is Dunn. Again, pretty damn good rep. They run cover one right here, where you have these two linebackers in coverage on these guys, man coverage, deep man coverage from Dunn. Again, a little bit of a jump split. We don't want to see the feet widening, weight onto the heels, and hands drop. You definitely want to fix that. A lot of guys have problems with that, even at the NFL level. I know Marcus Coleman hates it, but again, even with that, pretty patient. Gets a shuffle in. We talk about the shuffles. He gets that shuffle in. So we're talking about shuffle. Feet don't cross. If they do, it's a tiniest bit. He heel clicks a little bit, but still shuffle in. Both hands on. Got to be risky with shooting two hands. It's a little bit different of a situation if you're going to shoot and jump at them. We're going to lock your hips. Whereas if you're shooting two to contain, if you're shooting more to contain, it's a little bit less risky. So there's different type of two-hand punches. So this is more of a contain two punch. Contains hands on. Completely works into his hips, into the receiver. Stays right inside of him. Stays on the route. Sticky. Receiver gets a little bit frustrated, which NFL level ref is looking at that, hands to the face. That's a penalty right there. And why? Why is the receiver frustrated? He got a shuffle in and he completely crowded the route. That's what we're talking about, getting shuffles in. And that's why it's so important. He completely locks it down. So again, one of these guys who I said on the last Wilson show, I'm willing to stick my flag in this guy and saying he's going to be a contributor to this team, which I said this before he started lighting up at practice, and it's a little bit obvious too. They gave him the biggest signing bonus for a corner ever. But like looking at him, like I would have rather drafted him in the 6th over Eccles. But then again, maybe they had more film on Eccles. I only had 2 games that was available, and he didn't really do much in those games in terms of like the ball just going away from him or whatever it may have been. So to be fair to Eccles, he probably has more physical traits than Dunn, but I feel like Dunn was just a little bit more consistent. But I do like Dunn. I think he will make the team. So I don't really think I'm going on a huge limb there, not like with the Fant signing, but I'm pretty happy with Dunn, what I'm seeing. Good and bad press rep. We're watching Dunn on the bottom. You see some of the quickness from that for sure on this rep. Again, don't want to see the jump split. Don't want to see the weight into the heels. Don't want to see the hands drop. It's one thing I do not want to see. Now, in terms of the receiver's release, not really very, very threatening. If he sold vertical, then inside, then outside, that's better. But it's to turn your hips right away and just kind of almost like foot fire inside. That's really not a good release. But regardless, you have Dunn, who is a pretty patient player in terms of movement. Like he's not going to open his gate or completely just turn and run. So the patience helps him here, where obviously he's selling inside. Like his hips are inside, his eyes are inside, his feet are going inside. So you'll see some young corners, or you'll see some NFL corners who might jump inside, who might cross their feet, who might try to jump the inside and try to get over top of it. But he's pretty patient right here. Keeps his feet under him. Even though he does split, his weight it comes a little bit more back, but he's still generally over his toes. So good balance right there. Shuffle inside, doesn't jump inside, keeps himself square, which now instead of opening the gate, instead of angling off inside, he's still square. So now he could react to the outside move. So good job just keeping his hips square. Right hand on. Stay in the hip pocket. Just completely crowd the route. Crowds him. Squeeze him to the sideline. Good job in press. We could fix a little bit of the jump split with teach him it's not a false step, but it's a kick step. Dunn not disciplined in his zone right here. Okay, let's see. Bottom of the screen. Okay. Saw this concept like a lot with the Zach Wilson with that vert seam right here, vert seam, and it's just like you're just stretching the defense out vertically. Cover 3, it should do a pretty good job of covering it up, and then they add this little wrinkle of the smoke to just hopefully distract the defense. But Dunn, knowing the defense, should expect his deep third safety to pick this up, deep middle of the field safety to pick up the seam route because that's his only threat. And Dunn has to stay disciplined to the backside. Dunn does not play discipline to the backside. He gets in his blind spot. The QB looks him off, where he looks like he's going to go throw the seam. Dunn gets drawn to it, allows a completion behind him. So he's got to stay more disciplined to his zone than that. He can't cheat inside. That's the safety's play. Like if this receiver obviously makes the completion, but like maybe he could have made a play on it. Whatever. What if he ran it out? Sketchy. You don't want to turn your eye to your threat like that. So got to stay disciplined there. Run physical. I do like the fact that he's willing to, in the run game, sometimes he'll miss a tackle or two, but he's definitely willing. I think for really all the Jets corners, they're willing. I can't really think of any Jets corner who's not willing to tackle. Even though they may miss some here and there. I think all of them are pretty willing. I think Eccles is probably the worst tackler just because of his size and his build. But Eccles minus Guidry might be the fastest corner the Jets have. Okay, let's watch Dunn to the bottom. This isn't necessarily even a run game. It's a wide receiver screen. It's not really a screen. It's a quick smoke route. I'm sure they called it hot. I'm not sure what they called it hot. They singled up the matchup. They see he's out here wide. No, the defense is pretty condensed. Call it hot, hit the smoke, trust your guy to win one-on-one in the open field. Dunn sees it. And the good thing about Dunn is too, he takes his read steps where like read steps is typically like 1, 2, or at least 2. Could be 1, but 1, 2, or 3 steps backwards. You read the quarterback's drop. If it's a 1-step drop, the ball is coming out quick. If it's a 3-step drop, you're expecting some intermediate stuff. If it's 5 to 7, you're expecting deeper concepts. So corners, the benefit of playing off is the fact that you could take read steps. And obviously depending on the defense, like you might want to play off versus not off, but generally the benefit is you get to take read steps. So he takes his read step, 1, sees the 1-step drop, closes ground. I would maybe let the team stay a little bit more outside right here, but still squares it up. Receiver tries to outrun to the sideline. Dunn. Good job with your hand placement, avoiding the stiff arm. Gets his left hand under the armpit and just explodes through that contact with the left hand and just throws him out of bounds. So a little bit of physicality. We like to see that for sure. We like to see receivers get tossed as a defensive guy on the defensive side of the ball. I enjoy receivers and corners, but Dunn played ball. Okay. Bottom of the screen. They're cover 1 with man on both the running backs. Looks like you have like a hug rush green dog situation with this player, where if the running back he's assigned to stays in the block, he's going to blitz. So Dunn off man goes into like a shuffle. Maintains outside leverage versus inside, which is good if you're going to bail. You don't want him to get outside of you. Doesn't commit fully deep until the receiver starts to pass him. Turns on his speed, which he has good speed. I've seen some people call it excellent. I don't think it's excellent. I think it's good. I don't think it's great. I think it's solid though. He has solid speed deep. He's not going to get burned often. So unless you're playing obviously Tyreek Hill or something like that, but Pinnock and Paul might not have the best speed, where guys like Dunn and Eccles and Guidry and Carter have some pretty good speed. So he has a little bit of flexibility to not completely open up deep until the guy like starts to pass him. Obviously know your matchup, but you're going to see some good deep speed from him here. Get to the receiver. Does he get to the receiver, then play the ball? Close ground on the receiver, eyes back. Doesn't look like his eyes are back there. They could be. Regardless, catch up ground. Get one hand on, track the ball, play it. So good job playing the ball right there. He doesn't even play the hands. He actually finds the ball and plays it himself. So a little bit more risky at times, especially because his left hand seems to slip off of the receiver. So if this ball was a slip by and catch it, it's probably a touchdown because he had to dive for it. But if you trust yourself enough to make the play, make the damn play. That's on you. There might be a safer way, and it might not be as good as a risky way, because a risky way could lead to pass deflection, where the good way might just lead in you containing him and making a tackle. So a hell of a job diving for that, tracking that ball. Good job being pretty patient with his feet as well. So he's a pretty fast player, and I think overall, like north and south, he has some good acceleration. When he starts to work a lateral for me, he gets a little bit slower, and there are times where I see him explode to get downhill or north and south. But then there's other times where I'll show it. He second guesses himself, where he can let up some stuff short, because he second guesses his trigger at times. And here, this is one of those plays where, like, to be fair to him, you expect the quarterback to only have the ball for 3, 4, 5 seconds max. When the quarterback starts holding the ball forever and your eyes are and your back is to the quarterback, it's really a hard play for you to make. But you can see a little bit of the lack of acceleration here, like laterally. So from the top of the screen, we're watching Dunn. It's a little, but a little bit of a jump split, but I do like the shuffle. He gets the shuffle in, hands on. Great. That's fine. Minus the jump split, gets the shuffle and gets hands on. That's perfect. We like that. Hands on. Great job. Great job. Great job. Great job. Just don't want to overrun it. Again, it's hard in this situation. Like defense, make a damn play. Here, stopping and then reaccelerating. You just see some of the dead time. It's minimal. Again, it doesn't look like anything crazy. But like NFL, you notice guys who can really move. Like he can move. It's just when he starts to have to move laterally and like to change a direction and accelerating laterally, he's not as good as he is with deep speed. Like see that, a little bit of the dead time. Like that reacceleration, not the fastest right there. It's hard. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not as good as his deep speed and some of the north and south stuff. So this is where they'll say lack the trigger. Sometimes he's working downhill or north and south. Burst, trigger, plays ball well. Okay. I believe it's bottom of the screen right here. Let's see. Yeah, so they're playing like a form of 3, but maybe he's locked. Maybe it's like 3 lock, where everybody else is playing cover 3 and he just locked on the 1 on this side because it's his only threat because he man turns. Could be what it is. Regardless, he's responsible for this number 1 on the bottom. And again, good job. He definitely does a good job. Like when he's shuffling, when he's opening, to not commit fully. Like he knows his pacing. And he knows not to, again, like 60 versus 70 versus 80, like how fast to run on certain things. So he's prepared to run deep, but he's not selling out because he knows he could get beat underneath. So you have to be patient when you're running like that. So sees the guy break, but you see some of the hesitation, like that dead time. Like this guy's breaking, break to that near shoulder, just break to him. But you see some of the lack of trigger. So it's 1. I get him having to take 2 steps to stop. 1, 2, but explode to that shoulder. And you see some of that dead time. Like he lacks that trigger to go back down on him. He's a little bit too patient sometimes. Now, yes, he gets back to the ball. All great. Gets his hands on. Doesn't initiate contact too early. Doesn't dive over that shoulder too early. Good job going down, punching through the hands. Hell of a pass deflection. And overall, a really good play. Like I'm being like overall great play in terms of, again, the pacing of his feet, not opening up completely, playing it, hands on, eyes back to the ball, timing. All great. I'm just saying a little bit of the lack of trigger that we can see right there. Right there. A little bit of dead time. Like if the receiver were to be targeted here, he's probably not making a play if he attacks the ball. Little things, but overall good play. Like I'm again, just being fair. 10. Feet flat, hold, play ball. Okay. Right here. Yeah, that's a situation where in the NFL you're probably going to call for a hold. So looks like cover one. It could be three. It could be cover four. It could be cover four. Yeah, it's cover four, cover one with the safety just cheating. Either they're coning the two, or he's just playing in the middle of both the field side boundary. Again, I'm not going to go crazy into watching this 1,000 times. Looks more like four. Vertical. Regardless, Dunn's responsible for the bottom. So the only thing that I will say with him, again, like in the open field, he gets a little flat. Like he might trust himself a little bit too much. Where this receiver stemming towards him, you want to get a little bit more of a back pedal just to make a cleaner transition, whether it be a speed turn or just completely open your hips. The flatter you get, obviously, the harder it's going to be for you to open and to turn and run. So a little bit flat in the open field, and then it leads to a grab. Like this is a hold in the NFL if they're watching you. Now, if they're not watching you, great job slingshotting yourself to get back on them, which is basically just putting your hand on him and just throwing yourself with him. Slingshots himself back on him. Hand on. I like his hand right there too, controlling that arm. A lot of corners you'll see them do that, where they'll put their hands over top of receivers' arms, because guess what? If you're going out for a ball, your arms have to go up. And if my arm's over top of your arms, guess you can't go up for the ball. Like a lot of veteran corners will do that type of stuff. So good job with his hand right there. I like that, like arm barring him. Hand over top. Now the ball's at the front pylon. He's playing catch up, so a little bit hard for him to play the ball. You want to see it play through the hands, but again, him being behind, hard. It's a hard position for him. He gets beat again. A lot of times, like he gets beat, it's not bad. He's pretty close. So you teach him, a little bit of in terms of like getting a little bit more back pedal in there and not getting a little bit too heavy leaning forward. Then he'll be a little bit better positioned to match that. But overall, it's a pretty tight throw to beat him. So you're not going to kill him for it. And I don't know if he makes a catch. I don't think he does. So he tries to play the ball. It's a situation where perfect ball with leverage, with the receiver who knows how to use his body, box him out. It's almost impossible. And the receiver doesn't make the catch. So we're talking about a good play for Dunn for the most part, minus the little technical nitpicks things that I do with corners. So off coverage, pass deflection, bottom right here. The UCLA game, I remember being a little bit grainy. So I apologize for that. That's not me. That's how the film was put up. Again, pretty good. Off coverage. Doesn't take read steps, but does a good job looking in, and a lot of corners will change up their leverages, inside to outside, to looking at the quarterback, to not looking at the quarterback. Bit shuffles, bails, hinge technique, which is basically just press and bail. They'll do that just to screw with receivers. If you do the same thing every time, you're not going to throw them off. So even him just looking inside like this and then getting over top at the last second could screw up the release of the receiver a little bit and screw up his plan. Everybody has a plan pre-snap, but are going to follow that plan post-snap. So square, again, over his toes, allows for a quick break. His feet are always under his frame for the most part. Feet are under the frame. Quick break inside. Gets the upfield shoulder. Wraps the left hand, going to play with the right. Wraps the left hand, going to play with the right. Let's see if he gets a hand actually on the ball, if he just plays elbows or wrist. Yeah, that's impossible to tell. It looks like he gets his hand in. Body catch, regardless, it looks like right through right here he gets his hand on it somehow. Again, it's obviously I can't tell right here, but based on this, it would seem that he does. So good job playing it off coverage, patience. He's definitely a patient player. That's for sure.